Now then, Dan Connolly in the building for episode number 5. I think this one is now.
Yeah, I just listened to 4 on the way. So.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very nice of you. I'll give you your tenner in a minute.
I did. Well, 4 was. It wasn't Alex. Alex was number 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, Alex was number 1.
I just had to listen to.
Oh, Izzy Derry? Yeah,
3.
yeah. She was episode 3.
Yeah.
I had a lad that I've known for a couple of years on before, but yeah, they were the virtual ones that I was saying to you about off air, if you like. Off air?
Yeah.
Is it on air?
Yeah. We're on air.
We're on air right now.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what they say.
Yeah, in the digital broadcast world, we're on air, aren't we?
Where's the big light that says like live?
I didn't bring it, mate.
No.
I forgot. It's not very professional of me at all, is it?
Not really. I mean, these lights are pretty professional. Yeah.
They're not my lights. I've got to confess, they're not mine. I'm sure I could take them home. No one will notice.
No, it's a cool setup. This is a nice place.
No, I like it. I was just saying I should probably get some like branding or something on this wall instead of just a grey wall with paneling. Just put like, the logo or some colour or something on it, just to, brighten it up a little bit. But
yeah,
grey.
it's cool.
Yeah,
nice and just grey.
Yeah,
just modern.
Just earth tones.
Yeah,
calming. But I wanted to talk to you about music. Specifically, I wanted to start this conversation now about the recent single that you've got.
Yes.
Way Back Home. Talk to me about it. How did it first sort of come about? How did you sort of go about writing it, really?
Well, yeah, I think it's 2 weeks old today.
Wow, happy birthday.
By accident. I know, yeah, by accident. It's been around a lot longer, but yeah, I released it 2 weeks ago, but it should have come out the Friday, but it ended up being a Monday, and it just got in fact, no, sorry, it was supposed to come out the Friday. It would have been 2 weeks on Saturday, just gone.
Yeah.
Because my distribution company just got it completely wrong. So, yeah, it fell a bit short for release. Just woke up on a Saturday like, your release is live. And I'm like, oh, that's not very good.
Yeah.
Like,
whoops.
Normally there's like you got the week before and you can kind of lead into it, and then the Friday figures for kind of listens and stuff. Yeah, it just didn't go to plan at all. But I had a look yesterday, and all of a sudden, Spotify have put it onto a couple of playlists, and it's doing
amazing.
It's doing really well. So yeah, it's got one like editorial playlist, and that's made by Spotify. And then there's a couple of others like the Release Radar and stuff that's just algorithmic. But yeah, it's finally coming through, and I'm glad because it deserves it deserves it. It's a really good song. I was really proud of that one. It's a nice summery, just happy vibe.
Yeah, it definitely is. We've had it on in our house since it's been out.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the last 1,000 plays. You just had it on repeat. Cheers, I'll take that.
I'll give you your tenner.
Yeah, you can have it back.
But where did the idea first come from for Way Back Home? Because I know that like a lot of people start with lyrics at first. They like write it on a scrap of paper, or they have the chords first. Just sort of like, can you remember how it sort of started in your head?
Yeah, I think so. That was literally just it was 4 chords, and it's completely different now. Like the journey that it's been through, like the writing process is completely different. But it was just a straight 4 chords, and almost like humming a melody. That's where I get. Normally it'll be like a little shower idea, and I'm in the shower, and there's just one line, just a lyric.
It's weird how that happens,
isn't it? It just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then I'll just obsess over it then. Make a note of it, obsess for like a day or two, go back to it, and sometimes when you go back, it's like, no, that's not the best.
Yeah.
But other times, and I think Way Back Home was one of them, it was a case of like, yeah, I think this is cool. The concept was like a personal story.
Right.
Yeah, it was off the back of like coming through a bit of a hard time and then finding your way back, like home, whatever home is, whether home is a person or it's like a place or whatever, just anything that you can call home, you found your way to it. So,
yeah. So this might be a bit of a daft question, really, because it's already been out for a fortnight or so. Have you played this song live yet?
No.
You haven't?
No.
Because I was going to ask you, because it sounds like it's it's come from a fairly emotional place. Have you, like, obviously you haven't because you've not played it live yet, but would it be an emotional song to perform, do you think?
No, I think because of the vibe, it's just a really, like, normally I'll write really kind of like somber,
Yeah.
emotional songs, but this one, I don't know, it was the start of like it felt like the start of a new chapter, as corny or cliche as that sounds.
Yeah.
Like I boxed off a scenario or situation that had happened, and like a period of my life, I'd kind of boxed it off with the first three singles. First one was Lately, and there was Getting Better, and then there was Love Me Let Me Leave.
Yeah.
So after that, it was like, right, yeah, we're done with talking about like sadness now. Like, you know, we're not in that place anymore.
Yeah.
Should I just sing about something that's a little bit like, you know, the leaf had been turned? Is that?
It's like a combination of two sayings that you're going like a new leaf and turn the page or whatever it is.
There we go.
Yeah.
We'll have either one of those. That will do.
So creative.
Insert there. Yeah. Just crop that out.
Keeping it in.
Oh, he's thick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's. I mean, the writing process for that song was really, really fun. I had the producer Matt Cottrell. The guy's a genius, and a guy called David Smell. He's like a session musicianist. But I took it into them. We'd kind of formed a nice like relationship off the back of the last song that I'd done, Love Me Let Me Leave. Told them the concept and like what it meant, and you know, my original chords were quite contrasting. So like the lyrics were quite happy, and the chords were just a bit dark.
Right.
Just wasn't the right vibe. So we toyed around with a lot of different ideas, and eventually we got to what it is now, like the little jingly jangly finger picking element at the start, and then we wanted it to be a kind of foot stomping, like driving song. I think I picture when I listen to it, I picture myself driving maybe. Like,
or even like if you're playing your gigs and stuff in it, it might be like either an opening song or a closing song to get people up and moving.
It could go one or two ways.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
I mean, I haven't really, I haven't got anything lined up gig wise. Like life is just hectic at the minute. Just really busy. I was focusing more on writing and getting that part done. Writing, recording, so that I've got stuff to release. But I've kind of found myself in a bit of a. I'm still writing, but there is a full-on block at the moment, and it's quite difficult to pull yourself out of that.
Have you had sort of writer's block before, up until this point?
I think like my idea is like I probably have, but I've never really like understood it. I've been in and I've been out of music for I'd probably say 17, 18 years.
Yeah.
Leave it for 2 years, 3 years, go back to it. So like it was never I never looked at it as like something that was like as routine as this. Like I was in the studio during the process of Love Me Let Me Leave and Way Back Home, the most recent two. I was in the studio every Wednesday night, every Saturday, every Wednesday, every Saturday, and it was just constant. The ball was like in motion. But I think when it started to feel like a bit of a job, it was like I don't like my brain switches the other way.
I completely get that. It does, because like you're sort of doing it as a hobby, like you enjoy doing it, and all of a sudden it becomes this thing where you have to go to the studio on a Wednesday and a Saturday. You have to do it, and it's like turning up from a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
To work on it, and it kills your creativity, doesn't it? Because you know that you've got to turn it on and turn it off at a certain time, and it doesn't always work like that.
No, and that was, so I had the conversation with Matt and David, because the agreement was that we were a three, I was writing the songs, but they were helping me to kind of restructure and just like make them better.
Yeah.
Ultimately, and yeah, we had a really nice agreement, but we've reevaluated, and it's just not. That's not the process for me. So it would just be a case of as and when I have something, we'll then just make magic together, I think.
Yeah. Sounds like the dream team.
Yeah, like I would love to be the kind of person that could have like such a like be so regimented and be in on time on this day every single week and this day and dedicate it. But like ultimately, I just think my brain doesn't allow for that.
Yeah, but it's like what we were saying a minute ago. Like you can't just turn creativity on and off again. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't work like that. Like you're saying, like you're in the shower and something will just come to your head, or you might be sat at your desk at work and something will come to your head, and then you've got to work on it there, and then you can't just be like 9 to 5, turn it on, write some chords or whatever. Because if you do that, which I'm sure you've found, is that when you get into the studio for whatever time it is, you play some chords. You might go, these chords sound crap. And then you go home and you play those chords again when you're in a better mindset. And you go, actually, these chords sound pretty good.
And that was so like Love Me, Let Me Leave took so long because we were like almost procrastinating it. Like, we were sat in wait, like it's not quite right. And eventually we had like a choir come in to do certain elements of the backing vocals. And one of the like we were saying, like we're just not quite happy with it. Like with the track, their vocals were amazing, but we weren't at a point of it being like, yeah, we're ready for release. And Jay, the guy's name was, he said, like you're just overthinking it. Like it's a banger. So
but it's hard when you're close to a project.
Yeah,
because obviously it's your music, it's your creative product. Do you know what I mean? Like you're gonna be overthinking it because from your point of view you want it to be perfect, and if you can't figure out what perfect is in your head, then you will just, and if you've got the means to, you will just tweak it just that little bit here and there. It'll never be finished.
Yeah, I think it's more difficult as well as a solo musician, like because the release is like it's solely on me.
Yeah,
whereas I've been in bands and recorded as a band before, and my face hasn't been, or my name hasn't been anywhere near it. It's just, it's the band's.
Yeah.
Whereas like, yeah, I'm putting something out it's my name. Like, it's like not an alias. It's like, this is me and this is my song. And if people are like, you should have waited a bit longer on that one.
Yeah, you can't hide behind your bandmates, can you? Because it's just like, yeah, obviously it's your name. But okay, so you've just sort of touched then that you've been in bands and stuff before. Yeah. Take us back to when you can first remember, sort of getting into music. When, like, can you remember when you first had an interest in it to then learn to play the guitar and to sing?
Yeah. I can't remember what year it was. I was 13.
Right.
It's when the Enemy first hit the scene.
Yeah. Are the Enemy? They're a local band, aren't they? They're kind of, I thought they were. Yeah.
So just down the road that way.
Yeah.
It was their first gig there, and left at the Hope and Anchor. I think it was called the Hope and Anchor.
Right.
I think it was Hope and Anchor. Yeah, around by Purple Planet. It's not there anymore. But that was their first gig, and when they hit the scene, like that was like you're in school, your mates, like none of us could play an instrument, but we were like, we should probably get into the band room, like like the school band rooms with like broken Stratocasters and like, just rubbish instruments, drum skins that haven't been changed ever. But yeah, we got in, and I think there were a couple of the lads that did like guitar lessons. I sang, I couldn't play an instrument, and we just ripped off the Enemy's albums very, very, very badly. Like just did like a school gig in the hall in front of our like whole year. Just playing. I've got that on DVD somewhere. Like it was a shambles, but funny to watch back.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Is it one of them where like your voice hasn't quite broken yet, so you're going for those high notes and you can't quite get it?
Dreadful. Dreadful. No getting around it. But it was like that. Yeah, that was. I think that was the point. That was the, and then all throughout school, like we set a band up. We were called Retro City. We thought we were the bee's knees. Yeah, literally, literally walking around school with like mod haircuts and just.
I can imagine. Did you have the Fred Perry? What's it called?
The Works.
All the way buttoned up. Did you?
The Works. All at like Ben Sherman. Like but that was like, I think that would have been through secondary school, so I had interest there. Then like in and out of different bands. I think that band Retro City, we were the youngest to play the Casbah, Coventry Casbah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like 13 or 14, I think.
Yeah.
Played their side room. Like, it's the small victories, you know.
Yeah. You put it on your CV, really, aren't you?
Yeah. It's still on there, mate.
Yeah. Well, it should be. It should be.
Yeah. I lean into that. But yeah, moved on different bands with a couple of the same lads, and then a band called the Espadrilles with a couple of lads from Bedworth. And then I think the most recent band I was in was Idle Noise. They're from Cov, well, in and around Cov. But yeah, we did all right. Played Godiva Festival, supporting the Libertines.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that was like as far as gig CV goes, that was like by far the best.
Up there.
It was the pinnacle.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I bet you were there when with your what's it called, your Ben Sherman and all that, because Libertines are into that as well, weren't they?
Well,
they had the red jackets. I mean,
we're going now. Like Idle Noise is like recent,
right?
So I left them, I think 2.5, maybe 3 years ago.
Oh right, okay. So yeah, very recent.
And then that's when I started on my own.
Yeah.
So yeah, we supported the Liberty. It was like, I think, don't quote me, it was about 10,000 plus that we played in front of.
Amazing. Just
before Libs, and yeah, it was nuts. If you go onto Godiva's Instagram, you can still see all the videos. They posted one, I think in error, not realising like we were just a little band from Cov. They put one up the other week.
Oh,
like,
right.
I think, to say like, get your tickets for this year's.
Yeah.
But yeah, just little us.
Just
like,
to take the little win.
Late 20s, like, never had any form of like, major success like musically, other than like you're bragging rights about streams and stuff. But
I bet that were amazing though, when it playing on a stage like that in front of all those people.
Unreal. Like as far as playing a show goes, that was just like had 45 minutes full on rock mode. Like I'm in my element.
Oh god, yeah, I bet that was quality.
Just felt like, honestly, just felt like part of, like, is this what it feels like to be at that level? It was nuts. Like, one on the bucket list to play in front of like a big festival crowd.
That one definitely should be on your CV. Then like when we were gigging, we just used to play to empty rooms all the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that, like you drive for a couple of hours to get to an empty room.
Yeah.
But, it's just part and parcel of it all, isn't it?
I think Sheffield has a place. Is it like something live, 147 Live or something like that?
Might be West Street Live.
West Street Live, that's it, yeah. I'm thinking of 147, literally just down there, the nightclub. I think it is. It's on like the corner opposite. Opposite the Grapes.
That's it. The Grapes isn't there anymore. But
is it not?
Oh, it's not been there for a long time. But
man.
The Grapes used to be one of the places to go. It used to be so good. Like Reverend and the Makers used to play there all the time. Arctic Monkeys. Like you were talking about The Enemy.
Yeah.
It were the Arctic Monkeys for us because they were a local. When I say local, they were a Sheffield band, and I was saying it to Alex Norman, who's been on the podcast as well, about their first album is about going out downtown Sheffield, and they're like a little bit older. And that really
comes through as well. Like the theme, it's like the same as The Enemies. Like it's that we're from a little town. This is what we do.
Yeah. But like I think what made it amazing was that they were talking about places that we knew. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they talk
yeah.
about the Lead Mill and they talk about West Street Live and Plug and all these different places. And you're like, oh, that's what we used to do.
Yeah. So it's nostalgic, isn't it?
Massively so, yeah. But they, obviously they've moved away from that sound now. But that first album is still amazing to me, anyway.
Yeah. Was it Favourite Worst Nightmares? Or no,
That's
that was
the second one. It's
yeah.
the whatever people people say I am, that's what I'm not, or something.
Yeah.
But yeah. So okay, I just want to sort of pivot and go and go back again. So before you started all these bands, when you were sort of 13, 14, 15, you said that you went in and you were the singer of these bands. So did you know that you could sing beforehand? You just took the mic.
Yeah,
I
couldn't sing, mate. Everyone else played instruments, and I was like, well, I want to be part of something. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you're not doing this if I can't. If it's not happening.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the film The Commitments?
No, I have not seen it. No,
it's like an Irish band. They're called The Commitments. But yeah, I was going to quote that because like the singer can't do anything else but sing.
Yeah,
and that was basically me. Like, I want to be part of a band, but I can't do anything. But then I learned how to play the guitar a bit later on.
Yeah, you like the Ringo? Is it Ringo Starr? He didn't know how to do anything, so he said you play the drums.
Well, yeah,
you were the Ringo of the band.
I mean, I've played the drums in a couple of bands as well.
Yeah, so you're a proper Ringo.
There was one called Yes Sunshine and one called the Espadrilles. So yeah, I'm a jack of all trades, master, and then I can play a bit of every. So Idle Noise, I played the bass.
Yeah.
Espadrilles and Yes Sunshine, I played the drums. Yeah, and now I can't really play the drums anymore.
No, I say so I was sort of similar growing up. I played bass and guitar and stuff, but my younger brother's a drummer and he's a very good drummer as well. I don't mind telling him that. But I picked the drums up from him when I was living at home and he was living at home, but I couldn't play drums now. Not a chance.
I mean, I suppose you can keep time and stuff like.
Yeah,
just a straight like.
I could do 4 to the floor. That's
about
it. Yeah. I mean, anything outside of that's a bit like, oh, I ain't got a clue.
I think every instrument I've played though, it's been self-taught. Like I haven't had lessons. I can't do the whole. Someone sits and tells me how to do how to. Like, I'll just find my way of playing it. Do you know what I mean?
That was going to be my next question. If you've had any, because you obviously play a load of instruments. If you've had any proper training or not, especially with your voice, because the voice is quite.
That was one thing that I looked into was trying to find my vocal range properly and explore that.
Yeah,
and I think I might, but yeah, I've never had a lesson in anything.
Amazing. So I find that really interesting because I did have lessons. So my instrument's a guitar, and I first started playing when I was about 10, maybe 11, and I had lessons every fortnight or so. Very not like proper regimented. Like I didn't learn to any grades or anything like that. It just every lesson was okay. You were good at this. Now let's see if you're good at this. You were good at that. Let's see if you're good at this. And I learned to play from that, and then I learned some music theory, and I studied classical music for a couple of years and stuff.
Wow.
But then like I had a break from it, and I didn't want to do it anymore. So that's the whole reason for starting the podcast. Really, is to find out how people have developed. Do you know what I mean? Like it's I find it so interesting that you yourself as a working musician, you've got all these streams and all these songs out and all these followers and gigs and stuff. Has never had a lesson before. I find that amazing.
I think I don't know if it's amazing or just
luck.
Or ballsy. Like
yeah.
Like, I'm a fraud. I'm going out and playing gigs and like I've never been told, never actually learned how to play my instrument.
Not qualified.
No.
Do you ever get like imposter syndrome? You feel like you're sort of not supposed to be where you are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do, but not so much with my music.
Right.
With like my other areas of my like my 9 to 5 career.
Yeah.
I wish music could be a 9 to 5, but sadly, it's not.
Yeah,
like, not yet. Anyway,
I know what you mean. I always used to feel. I mean, I still get it now, but I used to feel it quite a lot when I was working in music because I worked as a bit of a session guitar player or whatever. I helped a few friends bands out and stuff, playing live and stuff, I always felt like I was an imposter, because I always felt like there's somebody better than me that you could ask to do, and it's only a matter of time before you find that out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but like you've been asked.
True, but it's one of them, innit? Like you can give the advice, but
Yeah,
then to
of
take the
course,
advice,
yeah.
it's another thing, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. Like if I said to you that, I feel like an imposter, you'd maybe reel off a couple of things and be like, to argue against that and debate it. But we could all do that. But like you say, you kind of, to practice what you preach is sometimes difficult.
So you were talking a minute ago about how you were playing in all these bands, but then you went solo. What was that transition like?
Not as glamorous as like, not like I got a record deal and just decided to bin them all off. I was supposed to go and travel the world, but I got a pretty good opportunity presented to me.
Yeah.
To put that on the back burner. So I was ready to leave and left the band and didn't leave. I stayed. I went for a month instead of a couple of years. So I just had like an elongated holiday. Just
right.
Elongated? No, prolonged holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get my adjectives right. Yeah. So I am going to go and explore the world a little bit. Hopefully, take my music with me from February.
Right.
But that's what kind of brought it on. So I went to Asia for a month, did a little bit of exploring, come back, and I was like, I might start writing for myself, because there was no kind of going back to the band. They'd already had a replacement in.
Right.
It was like, yeah, you said you were leaving. We've got someone else in. Like, you've made your bed kind of thing.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Like, I'll just kind of do my own thing. But, yeah, like the plan was to kind of not, like to go and explore and travel, like, and I don't know how long that will last for. So yeah, to kind of have people waiting on me for the band wanted to crack on, so they could.
Yeah. Did you find because I imagine sort of when you were in the band, you were all writing songs together. So, but then you've moved on to being solo. You've not got that almost like security blanket of, you've got an idea, take it to 4 or 5 other people. Can you help me build on that?
Well, yeah. I mean, with the band, we kind of drafted ideas in, but the structure of the songs were all done.
Right.
They were brought into rehearsals, already demoed, and we just kind of had to learn them. That was,
okay.
So that was it wasn't creative. Like I didn't have much of a creative input into the writing process of the band.
Okay, yeah.
So I just completely learned like a new way of like writing. And if I look at the transition between like the first single that I put out as a solo single and the one that I've recently put out, like although I loved the first for like what it means and just the production, I worked with Gav Monahan, who's just a genius. But the transition in like my writing style, the first one was so basic. It was verse, chorus, middle 8, chorus, big chorus out. Whereas this one's just the elements that kind of like the subtleties that like a listener would enjoy, but they just wouldn't understand like the mechanics behind it. Does that?
Yeah.
As
a
musician, you must know like it's the tiny little details that you put in.
Of course it is, yeah.
And layer and layer and layer.
Yeah, and it's that sort of stuff that takes the longest, isn't it? Like it might take you, I don't know, 3 months or whatever to come up with the idea and the basic idea of the song, but then to take it into a studio and work with a producer and be like, how can I make this next 8 bars interesting?
Yeah.
That's not the same as the first 8 bars of the verse.
Why does it all sound boring? Like, can we change this? Like, do we change the chord? Like, instead of striking chords, do we do finger picks? Like, all of those kind of things. So, just the difference in terms of the process and like just the not the end quality, because that makes me sound like I'm shunning the producer. I just think the well-roundedness, like
I know what you're saying.
The latest one has got. you can only get that via experience, right? So
Of course.
I've recorded, liked it at the time, but then like, as I've recorded the next one and the next one, I've realised, actually, well, that sounds better still, and this one even more. And
Yeah.
you know, like maybe the next one after this, I'll listen back to all 4 of my last singles and be like, they're all crap. Like, yeah. But I don't think that'll happen. I listened back to all of them on the way back from Cardiff yesterday with my partner, and I was like, just whack Dan Connolly on Spotify. Like, I just wanted to have a listen. I hadn't listened for ages, like, and I just listened back, and I was like, actually, these are pretty good, because I've been in the middle of like kind of no man's land since stopping the studio time and not writing as much. I've kind of been questioning, like, do I, like, what's next? Like, do you know what I mean? And listening back, it sparked something again. Like, I picked the guitar up when I got home yesterday and had just a little jam. Got a little voice note, but that's for my ears only at this point.
Not getting a sneak preview at this point now.
No, not just yet. It's literally just one of those shower ideas.
Yeah. But even when... Oh, sorry.
No, I've it's just ignited a little spark again, just listening back.
But even like, so when you get back home and you pick your guitar up after you've had that like spark or inspiration, how do you go about approaching it? Because obviously your writing style's changed a lot in the couple of years that you've been solo. So do you pick it up and you just find one chord that you like and you build from there, or does it just come to you?
I really, I don't know. I should probably think about this a bit more. Like,
it's a hard question to answer.
It's
not. There's no easy answer to it.
It comes up a lot. I mean, it came up last week on the other podcast. Like, it's difficult. I don't think I have, like, there's not a process. Like, I might listen to something that just sparks an idea. Like, if I hear like a nice lyric, I'm like, oh, that's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah.
Should I try and explore that? And then, like, I mean, like I said, I've never had a lesson. So like the chords, I tend to go to, like, I recycle chord progressions. Chord progressions, or reverse the chord progression, or it's the guitar elements that I start songwriting with are so basic. But then, so Love Me, Let Me Leave, I didn't have any guitar because I just didn't know how to format. I wanted it to be on a piano.
Right.
So Matt played the piano.
Yeah.
And we formed the chords together. I didn't even really I had a real loose vocal melody, but we shaped that entire song together. Like, it was a real solid, like, combined effort.
Amazing.
To get that.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, the process, that's a really, like...
It's tough, innit?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm really guilty. I mean, I haven't written a song for a long, long time. But, like, when I sort of randomly make beats at home, I'm really, really guilty of... I'll find, like, a chord or, you know, like a little sort of progression that I like, and then I go far too deep, and I'm like, right, I've got these chords. What key am I in?
Yeah.
What's the minor key, the harmonic minor key? What chords have I got available? And all of a sudden, I've got millions of chords, and I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But, you know, I've spent 3 or 4 hours doing that.
Just rabbit hole. Yeah.
And I'm like, all I've got is 4 bars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I am exactly like that. I mean, I on what was it? Not GarageBand.
On like Logic or something.
Pro Tools.
Oh yeah, Pro Tools.
Oh no, it might have been Logic. I think on Logic, created like a bit of literally just 4 bars of a country track, and I was like, "This is a banger." But it's 4 bars. Like, what? Do you know what I mean?
What am I gonna do now?
I can't get out of that 4 to 8 bar zone.
Yeah,
yeah. But I suppose working with people, that's where I kind of, I was able to explore things that I just wouldn't have even considered.
But that's the great thing in it about working with producers or just working with people in general, is that you might take an idea to them, and then they've got a completely different set of ears and a different brain to what you've got, and they might go, right, this chord instead of that chord might work a bit better because then it takes you over here.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what happened. Like, it was. Have you thought of like a a minor here instead of a major, and
Yeah.
should we completely shift key?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, I just
But that's what I mean. Like,
give me my 4 chords.
not that I'm saying everyone needs to learn music theory, but it helps to have just a little bit of knowledge about keys and chords in those keys, because then it opens up a whole new way of looking at stuff. But it's so easy to rabbit hole. You know, like what we were saying a minute ago. We're like, oh, because then you can borrow chords from that key and stay in the key that you're in.
Yeah.
It's like,
See, it's one of my regrets that I didn't do theory or learn properly. I'd love to play the piano.
yeah. Well, do you know what? I had exact same thought as you, right? So like I was saying, I learnt a bit of music theory growing up, but piano's been one of those instruments that I've admired from afar for a long time.
Yeah.
And sort of recently I've gone, do you know what? I'm just gonna learn how to play. So I've started to have lessons, and it makes so much sense, because like you're looking at these black and white keys and going, I can see all the chords. It's just sat there in front of me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So I did get myself a little keyboard for tell a lie. My mum bought me a keyboard just
For Christmas.
just a cheap one for my birthday. It was like genuinely, because she was like, "What do you want?" And I don't really need anything. I'm if anything that I want, I can or need, I just get it myself. So
yeah.
I don't really wait for birthdays, but I was like, I fancy a keyboard. She's like, I'm not getting you a keyboard because if I do, you won't use it.
Yeah, it'll collect dust.
Used it 6 times.
Did you?
Yeah, and it's in the loft. I mean, the office is in the loft, so it is there, and I'm staring at it every day, and I'm like, why don't you just? But I mean, when I say keyboard, it's nothing extravagant. It's one of the ones that it makes noises, like it gives you a beat.
Yeah,
It's got you can change it to make horns and airplane sounds and that. Genuinely, that's quite fun. But yeah, the when I'm looking at them, I can see how it works. And I was watching Matt play, and he makes it look so easy.
Yeah.
And then I try it, and it's just noise,
Hard.
like a wall of noise. How it's like Butterfingers, and I'm like. You know what I mean? Hammer fists.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I just find it such an impressive instrument, and it's like, I've always said like I want to be one of those people who walks into a train station and there's a piano there, and you sit down and you just start playing it, and everyone goes, "Oh, that was amazing." Do you know what I mean?
We've had the same train of thought. It would be cool. Like, there's no guitars propped in the corner of a train station, are there? Like,
no.
they'd be robbed. But
Exactly.
a grand piano, and to be that guy, it'd be very nice.
It's just amazing. I just love the piano. But it's funny that you said that about your keyboard at home, and I think mine might be the same. Is it might be one of them school ones? You go, DJ. Do you know what I mean? Everyone used to do that, didn't they, at school?
I do it. I annoy Lucy with it at home. Like she can hear it from the loft.
Oh, God. Mate, she's like, shut up. It's supposed to be working.
Yeah, it says it's got like a synth option, but it's definitely not a synth. Not like any synth I've heard anyway.
No, yeah, mine's got something like 120 different presets or whatever. But so you think the first preset would be all right, but it's not. It's like a
shocking.
I mean, it's it's a cheap one to keep me going.
It's a plinky plonk. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's so funny though, because because me and my wife we both work from home, so the third bedroom's an office now.
Yeah.
But I've slowly started to change it into, I've got my guitars on the wall and my keyboard's there and my laptop's there. It's slowly turning into my studio.
Yeah, it's the music room now.
It is a music room, but it started life as the dressing room. So it used to have a massive it used to have a big freestanding wardrobe in there.
That's some transition.
It's great. It's quality.
Get all those clothes on Vinted. We're having a studio.
We're having a studio, 100%. Yeah. And that's what's happened. I just need to get some monitors in there now and basically shift all my actual work stuff and put my studio there. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
I think if I was able to kind of, I've got all of the gear to have a home studio, and I just don't have the. I'm going to say the capacity. I just don't have the brain capacity. I've got to now learn how to.
Yeah.
Make music badly at home to then send it in as a demo. Do you know what I mean? And so all of my demos are literally just voice memos.
Yeah. But you know what though? That's all you need. I find now as well that with social media and all that, like, you're not just a musician, are you? You're effectively a content creator all the
Yeah.
time. To push your music out, you've like got to put on, videos or pictures or whatever.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Like it really, like, yeah. And so I'm kind of focusing, like, my, as I said, like my 9 to 5, focusing on kind of traveling to get out of, well, to just go and see what's out there.
Yeah.
I feel like might be a little bit stuck here. Like, I feel like there's just more that I need to go and see. So, like, focusing on all of that, and then having to focus on pretending to be an influencer or a musician on TikTok or Instagram. Like, I'll go through phases. Like, there'll be a week where I'm really in on it. I'll be posting 3 times a day, and at one point, like, the algorithm on TikTok did really well.
Yeah.
And I was getting people following and stuff, and really, like, there was a lot of engagement, especially for the single Just Before Way Back Home.
Yeah.
But, like, after that week, I can't do this anymore. I need someone full time. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I can't afford to pay them it. Like,
it's just a ball ache, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, all you want to do is make music, or some people might want to make art or whatever. It's just you've got to mess about doing all this first, or after, should I say?
It's like we said earlier about it kind of turns into a 9 to 5 that you're not paid for.
Yeah.
It's just it then becomes an expensive and taxing hobby. Like,
Yeah. Well, the line gets blurred then between hobby and job, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where I mean, I love making music. It's like the most rewarding and satisfying thing, like, as in for my dopamine.
Yeah.
Like, it really picks me up, like, having that creativity. And just, like, we literally said it in the van yesterday on the way back from Cardiff. Like, Lucy said, you're coming, you actually wrote this, like, you know.
You made this.
Yeah,
You come
make
from your
music.
shower thoughts.
Yeah, literally. And, like, when you think of it like that, it's a pretty cool hobby to have, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's, and then to get onto Spotify playlists, like editorial playlists, like you say, like, it just adds that extra level of
like, people
reward.
are listening to it and at least liking it enough to listen again, or But it's just it's a taxing hobby. Like, if you never cross the line of it being a hobby, you kind of have to make sure and keep it as fun as possible.
Yeah, definitely. Which is hard to do, innit? When you're doing, like, sort of normal life, and then you've got to turn your creativity on at certain parts of the week or whatever. It's hard to maintain that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Like, it's really hard to switch it on and off.
I mean, I was saying to you before we press record about, sort of not really having the time to make music to the level that you want to make it. Especially, like, we've got a young family and we both work sort of full time. So when it gets to, like, 8:00 at night or 7:00 at night, whatever, everyone's knackered.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, you don't want to then sort of plug yourself into turning creativity on and to record something, because you're not putting your all into it and you're not 100% happy with it. So it's just trying to find that balance, but it's hard to do that, isn't it? So
I was listening to a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and it was about this, just like how you compartmentalize, like, everything that's happening. Like, if you're trying to build a business, how, like, but also working in 9 to 5 and trying to make time for family and friends and your relationship. Like, how do people actually do that? Like,
I have no idea.
I mean,
I've got no idea.
I think I'm doing, like, all of the above, but I don't know how. Like, there isn't enough time in the day for all of it. And I think that's, like, lines do get blurred, because it's, during my 9 to 5, I might do a little bit for music or do a little bit for, there's no, like, actual strategy. No. Like, there's no, right, this, but then if there was a strategy and there was boxes, like, this is the time for this and this is the time for this, I think I'd hate it.
Yeah.
It has to be spontaneous.
That's probably where you do your best work, is when it's spontaneous. And sometimes it might come in middle at night, or it might come in middle at day when when you're working. But that was part of the reason why I wanted to start the podcast, is just to figure out how are people doing it?
Yeah,
how do people do it? Well, I can't do it, or I can't
winging
do it
it,
well.
Mate. Like, just winging it. Like, when I first started solo, I think I'd got a lot of messages about like, will you play the pub and this, that, and because I just put up, I think I'm just on Facebook, like, I'm making music on my own, this, that, and the other. And I think people took it as in like, well, you can come and play in our pub, but
Yeah.
these were covers gigs, they weren't mine. But then I realised that I was getting funded to go to the studio. So I
Right.
wasn't spending my money, I was spending the pub's money because they'd pay me for 2 hours and I was just bankrolling it through gigs.
Yeah.
But I was I say working, like to play a gig, a covers gig for 2 hours on a Friday night. It's not real work, but I was doing Fridays, most Fridays, a couple of Saturdays, and I was just completely losing my weekend. And it was like, actually, this feels like a job now.
Yeah.
But I was doing it because I was in the studio so much, and you know, studios are expensive, as you know, probably know with this place and stuff. Like to hire someone to help out with sound, and it all costs. So I was like, how do I continue to do this whilst not rinsing my own bank?
Yeah. Yeah. Like you say as well, you're like, as well as paying for the studio time and all that stuff, you're effectively paying the producer as well to help you put it all together so it sounds good for radio, Spotify, whatever. Because if you don't, then that's another job that you've got to do, innit? And that's hard in itself.
Exactly. And then there's the PR side of it. Like for if you want it to get in front of any kind of magazines. But I've avoided all of that. I think I've just let them be, my releases be whatever. Like, well, I've released it, that's all I can do. I've made it. If people want to listen to it, they can.
Yeah, that's a great mentality to have, though, isn't it? Because it is so easy to get bogged down. We were talking about this a minute ago before we press record again. Is that it's so easy to get bogged down in all these, in all that stuff and the numbers and all that. So it's a good mentality to have, isn't it? That.
Yeah, I think I obsessed. I think over the first couple, like. You know,
yeah, which you're gonna do because you've just put something out on your own, haven't you?
Yeah, I was worried that they'd just fall flat, and the first one got a real good reception. It got to #1 in the iTunes
No way.
singer-songwriter chart.
Did it?
Yeah, so like not only were people listening, they bought it.
Wow. Yeah.
And I mean the iTunes charts, the numbers. It's just like how many people bought it on that day.
Yeah.
So for the weekend, it stayed in like the top 5. So people were just they were buying it. And Love Me, Let Me Leave was the same. I think it got to like 19 in the end. It didn't get to the top. But yeah, like people, the fact that they're not just streaming it, they were buying it, that was nice.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I mean, it hasn't, I mean, I'll forever be in debt to those songs, like, to myself. Like, because you just can't make any money out of online streams.
Unfortunately, no. No. I mean, I mean, this might be me being proper nerdy, right? But there's a documentary, and I forget what it's called now, but it's basically about Napster. You remember Napster?
I do, yeah.
Right. So it's how Napster.
They like LimeWire. Was it LimeWire?
Yeah. It was. Well, it went Napster first, and then other
weird
streaming
thing with headphones.
That's right.
I know one.
But the documentary is about how Napster effectively changed the entire music industry. Which it did. Do you know what I mean? Like it was only there for a bit, but it changed everything. People would go out and buy music, and now you could download it illegally.
Yeah. Whatever happened to a CD? Like, do you know what I mean?
It killed it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And then LimeWire, like ripping albums and.
Yeah, but like eventually, Napster and LimeWire turned into Spotify and Apple Music. And that's what we've got now. Like,
now look what they're doing to the industry. Like,
well, yeah, but it's just. But I find it really interesting that, like, music started off as performed live, then like written down on like sheet music. Then it was vinyl, tape, CD, mini discs. Remember mini discs?
Yeah.
Mini discs. Then Napster and now streaming. Like but that's over, of course, 100 years or so.
It's an evolution, isn't it?
It's crazy. But that might be me being a proper nerd. But I find that really interesting.
I've never thought about it like that, to be fair. But the streaming side of it, it has just completely. I think it's ruined. It's ruined it for artists.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, I suppose the consumer doesn't really have to care about that side of it. They're paying a tenner and they're getting every single track that they could ever think of.
Yeah.
In the universe, and that's just that. It's cheap, but then the people that actually make it.
But that's the thing as well about what congratulating you on about getting on the Spotify editorial playlists and the music radars and stuff like that is because it's such a saturated market as well. There's something like 100 or 150,000 songs a day uploaded to Spotify.
It really?
Yeah, it's a crazy number.
Mad.
But that's all the way around the world. So you think like, your song has been picked up by the algorithm. It's an even bigger achievement.
I think that is something that I've thought about. It's like, and I've got lost in, when you're trying to kind of be that content creator and like branding yourself and all of that sort of stuff. And ultimately, well, not wasting time, but just, I suppose wasting time on social media to try and do something. And I've often thought like how many people, TikTok is full of artists trying to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's like,
how are you
we can't all make it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. There's a really funny. I'll have to send it you next time I see it. But it's just it's a bloke who's doing this like he's made a video where he's talking to himself kind of thing, and it's about he's saying he's effectively talking to a record executive, and the record executive says, right, so you can sing, yeah, tick, okay, you can play guitar, yeah, you can produce, you do it all yourself, you're a sound engineer, everything. He goes, okay, so we're ready to sign you. You just want to sign here? He goes, oh, actually, there's just one little clause here. Are you able to make stupid little fucking videos for Instagram? And he goes, what? And he's like, yeah, I suppose I can. And he's like, yeah, but we need you to do it.
Yeah.
Like, is that really going to help? And they're like, yeah. And I went, oh, okay, I suppose I'm making these videos then. It's like,
yeah, I mean, it'd be a deal breaker because I'd make all about 5 in 5 days and be like, oh, it's off. Just have the money back. I'm not even.
But
I'm
like
out.
it's speaks volumes, doesn't it? That
yeah,
like it's not good. It's not good enough
the
to be a
focus
musician.
used to be the music.
Yeah,
and now it's like you've just got to dance about and like. I think it's topical really. Like so TikTok, there is a certain kind of music that TikTok enjoys, and that people on TikTok enjoy, which I think is why the Way Back Home song was created so like with such an a specific energy, like summery, but yeah, like back to the content creation thing. It's probably fallen short because I haven't got the drive to create the content that matches the track to then push on to TikTok. But yeah, it's a real it's a rock and a hard place, isn't it?
Yeah, but like it's not like you say you're happy in yourself having worked on your track, put it out, and then gone. It's in the world now, so have it.
As long as I'm making good music, and I keep mentioning yesterday, like as we were listening to it, I was like, I would listen to this, like, and I think that's the most important thing. Like I'm making music. I don't particularly think it sounds like anyone, or I'm channeling into influences too much. But yeah, I would listen to it.
Yeah,
like it's I don't hear it and go, oh,
turn it off.
Turn that off. Like,
what
was that about? Like, and I think I'm really particular about music that I listen to. There's something inside the way that my brain operates. Like I struggle with finding new music, struggle to get into new music.
Yeah,
what I already know and like, or if I've got into it by accident, I often rinse and repeat. Like, I listen to an album 50 times until I absolutely hate it.
Yeah,
and then I'll revisit it next year. Like,
yeah.
I
mean, I've done something similar recently, so I absolutely love it. And it's one of my favorite albums of all time. It's an album called "Take This to Your Grave" by Fall Out Boy.
Okay.
I don't know if it's their first or their second official release, and I listened to that to death.
Was that with the dance?
It's the one before that.
Oh,
yeah. I listened to it until it, I couldn't listen to it anymore.
Yeah.
And then I've not listened to it for like 10 years or, maybe even longer. And then I come across it again and I'm like, oh my God, this album's amazing.
Yeah.
But like, you sort of listen to it with different ears because back then you're like 15, 16.
Yeah.
And you're, this emo kid.
Hair down to your ass.
Oh, and it's like, okay, there's a joke about my when I were that age, it was shocking. I mean,
We've all had those.
Yeah. But like, when I was 15, 16, this little Mosher kid, Oh, they're not called moshers down here, are they? Yeah.
I think so.
Are they?
Yeah, like emo.
Yeah. Oh, I thought I got told it's some. It's Grebes or
Grebes,
something.
yeah, I think there was Grebes, emos, like the goths were complete, like they were just in a world of their own.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Grebes, we'll go emo.
Yeah, but so we were called them moshers. So I were a mosher kid, right? So listening to this album and be like, oh, this is amazing. This is a bit of me. And then listening to it sort of last week, I'm like, these kids are just whinging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's still good. It's still an
Yeah.
amazing album, but they're just whingers, man.
It's just nostalgia, isn't it? At this point, like you just you listen to stuff like that and it takes you back.
Yeah.
Like I think what was I listening to? My Propeller off of Arctic Monk Humbug.
Oh yeah.
Just that album's just a belter.
So it's funny because like after Favorite Worst Nightmare, I stopped listening to Arctic Monkeys.
So I think I did, but then they come out with that album, and I just like Humbug was just
It just got you.
Yeah, it was a real good that was a real good album. And Suck It and See was just after that, I think.
Yeah.
So there was just such contrast, but yeah, I think me and a couple of the lads were like really going through like a mood change, and we were living it with Arctic Monkeys. Like,
Yeah.
You don't want to get moody, we'll get moody. We're in. Crying lightning.
Yeah. So it's so like Arctic Monkeys are a weird one because, like I was saying, that that first album, that was the Arctic Monkeys. Like that we'd go and see him at the Boardwalk, which isn't there anymore now. And that was the style of music that they played, and he had his Stratocaster up really high like this, and it were great. And then they did a similar sort of thing on Favorite Worst Nightmare, but then they probably did what everybody does and gone, we don't want to do the same thing again, which fair enough.
I think like third album, like that there's something about third albums just have to kind of change.
Yeah,
and I think they did. Like I can't remember who said that. It's like somebody somewhere in the music industry has said that before about like third albums, and it's so your first album people loved you for it. Your second album you can't really stray too far from the first.
Yeah,
because you want to keep hold of what
the fan base.
But then the third you've really got to shift it up. Like So yeah, I suppose people just go. So there was somebody that. So Kings of Leon, for example.
Yeah,
all of their albums.
It's a good example. That.
Yeah, but all of their albums are pretty good, and they don't lose their identity as Kings of Leon. Whereas Arctic Monkeys have just been outlandish.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
they've proper strayed, haven't they?
Come on, lads. What are we? Yeah, you're from Sheffield.
It makes me laugh when you see them. I think they played Glastonbury either last year or year before. And watching it on iPlayer and they're singing Mardy Bum, right? And they're just, I don't know what it is. It's not the same. Even though it's them, it's not the same. Do you know what I mean?
Now then, Mardy Bum.
Yeah, but
back it in.
He sings as if he's like in a, in like an old like 1950s, 1960s or whatever, like restaurant. Yeah. And they'd got the singers in there. That's what he reminds me of.
No, he needs to pack it in.
Yeah.
I mean, each to their own. I just the newest, like I said, I find it difficult to get into new stuff anyway. So Arctic Monkeys shifting that much, I was like, nah.
Too much for you.
Yeah.
Too much for a lot of people, I think that.
Just Marmite.
Yeah.
I love it or hate it. And it did divide opinion. Like loads of people were like, how can you not? If you don't enjoy that album, you can't be into music.
Yeah.
I can. Just not into
not into your music.
Not into elevator music. Like
yeah.
Just constant elevator music.
Yeah, definitely. But just sort of pivoting back for a second. So your style of music that you've gone on to do in your solo career, I'm interested to know what your influences are. Because obviously you've got a bit of a background in bands. Like, you've mentioned The Enemy and the Arctic Monkeys, the Kings of Leon. So I imagine that's your influence. But solo stuff is a million miles away from that sort of genre, isn't it?
It is. And I don't really know. So I've got a lot of influences, but I don't think they would come out in like they. I don't know. I just don't think I use them as in. I love like Paolo Nutini, for example.
Yeah.
Superb. But I don't sound like Paolo.
Yeah.
I think Love Me, Let Me Leave was I kind of leaned a little bit into like Lewis Capaldi almost, like just a bit of a sad ballad.
Yeah.
Like just an emotional, heartfelt. But yeah, my music taste is so eclectic. Like it's difficult to say. Like, so I might listen to, I don't know, I listen to Tom Grennan 1 minute and Foo Fighters the next. Like there's no. I just think, yeah, there's no like obvious influence. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but is there not like, when you pick your guitar up, like when you got back yesterday and you're like, pick my guitar up because I want to play something. Is there not like, so when I was learning how to play guitar, I learned a lot of like blues, like my one of my favorite guitarists of all time is a bloke called Stevie Ray Vaughan. Not that I can play anywhere near like what Stevie can, or could, should I say, because he died in 91 or whatever it were. But like whenever I pick my guitar up, I can't help myself but to play chords like him or sort of licks like him. So
I see what you mean. So there's a guy called Stephen Fretwell.
Right.
Have you ever heard of him?
I've not, no.
So you'll know he's most famous for the Gavin and Stacey theme tune.
Oh right, okay.
The Tell Me Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm a fan of him.
Right.
After Gavin and Stacey, he went like off radar for like a decade, maybe 15 years, and all of a sudden he just popped up on Twitter like, yeah, I'm going to do a couple of dates, and one of them was Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
So I went to see him at the Glee Club. But I was a fan of like his albums before and stuff. He influenced the Cortinas, so Liam Frey.
Right.
Got a couple of his licks and lyrics, in fact, from Stephen Fretwell.
Really?
They're actually his.
Is that what? Just straight up
They're
lifted?
They're mates, yeah, they're friends.
Oh, okay. So he's not nicked him. He's said, I'm having this kind of
There's
thing.
a song, I can't remember what it is. I will send you it. I don't want to do that on, just in case there's any implications for them. But yeah, I'll send you the comparison.
Yeah, definitely do.
Yeah, it's one of Fretwell's songs. But I think Liam Frey talked about it in an interview, and said like they're friends. It was with permission. This, that, and the other. So,
Fair enough.
Yeah, but both Mancunian musicians. But Fretwell is just it's Liam Frey of Cortinas and Stephen Fretwell. Stephen Fretwell is just like the way, just magic,
like chef's kiss.
Yeah, absolute dude. If you're into if you fancy having a little listen, I'll send you like one of his better bits.
Yeah, definitely do. Yeah,
Really good. His first album was very nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably say I'll lean into that a little bit, because he's a solo musician, just him and a guitar. It's hard to get influence from like a full band when it's just you and a guitar, because I've got to make sure that what I play live, is
what's
good
on
enough.
the record. Yeah.
So what I write with just me and the guitar, although we doll it all up in the studio, I've still got to be able to perform that just with me.
Yeah.
So like he does that really well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, I'll have to have a listen to that. But it's a nice transition actually onto my next question, which is about your top 3 albums. So I tried to give guests a bit of notice on what their top 3 albums were, but I gave you maybe like half a day.
Yeah. Cheers for that.
Yeah. keep you on your feet. But yeah, so your top 3 albums of all time, or even it doesn't necessarily have to be albums if you can think of songs a bit easier.
I think so. I touched on one just a minute ago. I think that Humbug album.
Oh yeah.
Because when I had to think about it, I struggle to listen to albums back to back.
Yeah.
From like start to finish, that's your album.
Yeah.
Normally, I'll just pick a couple of singles out and I'll listen to those, and then it might slowly get me into it. I'd say the Humbug album, definitely it was, and that was like nostalgic. There's another album by a band called Father Son. So I'm gonna give you 4 here, not 3.
Oh, okay.
Just thought of one. There's another. Have you heard of Father Son?
I've not, no.
They're
Check
amazing,
them out.
And they're still going. So like, yeah, Superb live band. The first album that they brought out is called An Island, I think, or Island. It's like 10-year anniversary, and I went up to Scotland to see them play that back to back.
Yeah.
Magic. Very good. Yeah, and I think more recent albums, Paolo Nutini's latest,
Oh, okay.
2019.
I didn't realise he was still releasing.
Yeah,
Because he were massive in like the early 2000s, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely shifted gear.
Has he?
Yeah, but it's for the better.
Oh, okay.
It's not like the jangly Paolo. It's pretty heavy, dark. It's dark, psychedelic.
No way.
Psychedelic, like folk.
Is it really?
Magic, man.
Because he were like, in the sort of early 2000s, there were a lot of like singer, songwriter, guitar players, weren't there? And he was one of them. And then there was like Passenger and Ed Sheeran and those sorts of people. They all sort of came out all at around the same time, but it's playing a similar brand of music. So I'm surprised that he's gone that way.
In the last 6 months, I've been seeing 4 times.
Have you?
He's
that good? No way.
Real.
Yeah.
Like my mates have told me that I need to check myself a little bit. Like, borderline stalking.
Yeah. You've got a bit of a Paolo obsession.
I went to see him in Brighton at like a day festival thing, and then he announced that he was playing. Anytime he announces a festival that's like relatively near or looks cool, I'm like, shall we?
Yeah.
He announced one in Edinburgh, so I was like, you've got to see him at home. Like he's up the road from his, like, so, you know, Scotland would have been a good one, and it was.
Yeah.
Where else did we see him? Hyde Park just recently.
Oh, did you?
With Kings of Leon.
No way.
Yeah.
Good lineup.
Really good lineup.
Yeah.
Kings of Leon, Paolo, Vaccines.
Oh yeah.
It's just a really good day, that.
The Vaccines, they're a bit of a blast from the past, aren't they? Or at least for me, they are.
Yeah.
I've not listened to them for ages.
Great live band.
Yeah.
Really good live band. Not a band that I'd listen to really. Like when they come on, it's like, oh, it's a bit grating, but live.
Yeah, amazing.
Real good.
I think.
Yeah.
I can't say I've seen them live, so that'll be one to look out for.
They're like a festival band, I think.
Yeah.
Anytime I've seen them, it's been at a festival, so I haven't paid specifically to go and see them, but they've been there and I've watched them, and yeah, never failed to entertain. Yeah. Was there one more?
I think you've given us 3 there, but you said you had 4.
Noah Khan. His most recent album.
Is that's that bloke who sings
Stick
Seasons? Yeah.
But like hearing that song now, I hate it.
Right.
It's just it's like
they kill it, don't they? Radios,
yeah. It's the radio and like listening to it in Asda. It's like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's literally turned into like Ed Sheeran at this point. Like, but not, you know, they've done it, not him.
Yeah.
But the album is just, it's a real nice masterpiece. And like, there's a couple of like odes. Like he talks about kind of, you know, his earlier life and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just resonated with a lot of some of the things that he was saying and talking about. It was a really nice album.
That's great, that, because I mean, like I was saying to you a minute ago, I love asking people that question because I don't listen to any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm open minded enough to be like, I'm gonna put that on in a bit and just see what the crack is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because then I might discover something that I like. Do you know what I mean?
There's a song called "Growing Sideways"
right
on that album, and yeah, it's really nice. I mean, he's got like the Stick Season and the one with, I think he did with Post Malone. Like they're his obvious like radio pop songs, but yeah, it's just a really nice like folk, him and a guitar like album.
Yeah,
a lot of it.
It's good to have that like sort of stripped back to basics almost, isn't it? Just literally like, you know, don't need to be high production, don't need to be multi-instrument, whatever. Just sometimes it's nice to just have that guitar and
double track it and like, just get it out raw. I've got one idea for a track that I'm toying with recording, and it's finished.
Amazing.
And that is I'm weighing up whether just to raw dog it. Just raw dog it.
That's such an honestly. I was talking to someone about that term the other day. I'm like, it's so offensive to my ears. It really like gets me. Do you know what I mean?
I'm sorry. Yeah,
raw dogging it.
Just double track it with me and the guitar, and I think it's the kind of song that you don't really need anything else. Like, just let it.
That's great though.
The meaning behind it and the words, like, they'll come through.
Yeah,
I think.
So you say you've got that recorded, or it's demoed at the minute?
That's just voice memo.
Yeah.
But yeah, weighing up whether just to get in or just to wait and see how I feel about rewriting bits.
But team up with your producer mates and see what they reckon.
Yeah.
And even if you got it recorded and it just sat in your back pocket for a while.
He does love the chorus. I've sent him the voice memo. There's just things that maybe he's not too invested in.
Yeah.
With that one, but then I am.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't want to change it.
Finding that middle ground, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But what have you got coming up then?
As in
anything? Have you got any gigs, or are you back in the studio, or what can we look out for?
Sadly, there are no plans. However, I'm playing in and around the city, just kind of covers gigs. I'm hoping to do something really nice at Christmas.
Right.
Just a nice little small gig.
Yeah.
That'll be like maybe start of December. Nothing too. We're talking really small.
Yeah.
But just nice, nice atmosphere. With me, Matt with the piano, and imagine just festoon lighting, just nice.
Turning on the Christmas lights in
nice,
Cov.
nice chilled, mate. Nice chilled. Yeah, indoors beanbags, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, quality.
Just chilled out.
That's what you want around Christmas time, isn't it? Manic time, just have a chilled gig.
Yeah.
Piano, guitar. Yeah, that'd be ace. But yeah, honestly, mate, thanks for coming down.
No, thanks for having me.
This evening. It's been great chatting to you. So I really appreciate your time. So yeah, everybody, go and stream Way Back Home. Go and listen to it and look out for a gig nearby.
Thank you.
Amazing. Done.
Sorted.
That was all right. What time are we on?
7:30.
Eh? Is it really? Wow. Okay,
That was a good chat.
Yeah, no, honestly, mate.
You're going to have some homework now for editing that, mate.
Oh, yeah, honestly.